Good to have everyone on our webinar. Let's officially get started. Today's webinar is brought to you by Thoughtly. We appreciate them bringing this to the industry. It's about AI receptionists for cleaning companies. Spend more time running your business and less time on the phone. So we look forward to this topic today. A couple of housekeeping points, and I'll revisit the title in a moment for those still coming in. But we want everyone to interact. So you can see the chat option, the Q&A option. Use either one of those. We'll be keeping an eye on that, because if you have questions related to the webinar, as Torrey goes through his presentation, share those with us through either of those portals, and we will get to those at the end of the webinar. We plan about 30 minutes for the presentation, and then as much time as needed for the questions that we have coming from you. Some of the questions were provided before the webinar. Some will come live today. As you watch the webinar, you may wonder, how do I get a copy of this recording? That will be provided in a couple of days on cmmonline.com and also emailed out to everyone who registered for this webinar. So you will get a copy. Don't worry about that. Share it with your colleagues. Share it with those who need to see this information. Also, feel free to make noise at your end. The only ones who need to be careful of what they say and do are myself and Torrey, but everyone else will be muted. I think that's about it for housekeeping issues. Again, today's presentation brought to you by Thoughtly, AI receptionist for cleaning companies. Torrey Leonard is the founder and CEO of Thoughtly. Torrey, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, thank you guys, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. Like Jeff said, I actually grew up in Maryland, went to school in Columbus, Ohio, go Bucks. But I'm now here in New York. We're building Thoughtly. Really excited to share with you what we've created. We think it's a really great value add for the cleaning industry specifically. And so I know there's a lot of questions recently from many people across the globe. How do I incorporate AI into my business? I think that this is a very clear answer for cleaning companies specifically. And so throughout the next 30 minutes, I'm just going to walk through kind of what we do. And then I'm actually going to build an agent to answer phone calls from my Thoughtly cleaning company. And you'll see exactly how that works in just a few moments. So again, if there's any questions, Lauren from my team is also here, Lauren Cheek. She'll also reach out after the webinar so we can see if you're interested in kind of getting started yourself. She'll interrupt me with any questions that you have, and we can discuss them at that point in time or after the Q&A. So getting started, 4 in 10 calls are missed, average business calls. And this leads to, of course, lost revenue, lost future sales, lost bookings. I mean, you name it. I'm sure this has happened to you in the past. This is the reality that in today's competitive market, customers expect really quick responses. And if they can't reach you, they're just going to move on to the next person that's available. So our goal is to ensure that this never happens again and that every single 100% of phone calls are answered. So, of course, just kind of like digging into that, missed calls, high churn from agents, these create ripple effects throughout businesses, leading to 3 major challenges. First, there's the lost revenue and lost future sales. Every missed call is a missed opportunity to convert a lead or retain a customer. Second, customer dissatisfaction becomes inevitable when calls go unanswered or when calls have poor service quality. Finally, the high labor and training costs add up as companies continuously grow and onboard new agents, but they always struggle with this turnover. All of this impacts the bottom line, but with AI agents from Thoughtly, we can help you tackle these challenges head on and grow your business, turning every opportunity into growth. So here's just a brief case study from, or just a brief example of like how we would do this. Our agents come pre-skilled to intake new clients, book cleaning appointments on your calendar, which we'll talk about what calendars in just a second, and then follow up on service inquiries, provide pricing estimates, manage rescheduling, and more. So there's a lot of different software tools that I know everybody out there is using. Some people are using like a Salesforce, a HubSpot. Some of you might be using like a Calendly, cal.com, or a Go High Level. There are numerous different integrations that we have. And so I'd love to talk at the Q&A portion about those specific integrations, but we integrate with all of the software that you use, ideally, everything. Eventually we'll get there, right? But I'll show you how to build an agent that connects to those softwares very shortly. So these are actually what we call skills for Thoughtly agents. So Thoughtly skills are essentially things that your AI agents can do. They can follow up on leads. So this is where you take your opted in leads, people who over the last 10 years of running your business have provided their information to you in one way or another. And now it's time to get them back, re-engage them. You could hire someone to call all of them, and that could take months, years, and it'd be extremely expensive. Or you could use a human-like agent over the phone to call all of them at once. What a crazy, phenomenon that would be. And that's actually possible in today's technology. Then, of course, there's the lead pre-qualification. This occurs when people call your companies. These are inbound calls. So after a caller fills out a form, you can call them or they call you. Either way, this is where you qualify them. So typically in sales, of course, you have someone asking like how many bedrooms, anything really to like provide the quote, how many offices, depending if it's commercial. At the end of that process, you would potentially create a quote. That's something that your Thoughtly agent can do based on the criteria that you provide for. One example is if you took a pest control company. In order to be eligible for a free termite inspection, the caller needs to be asked their name, the bug issue they're experiencing, if they are the homeowner, and did they refinance in the last 6 months. That kind of thing, you might manually do over the phone now for your business, but an AI agent can actually just do for you. So there's really 4 steps to get started. These are very, very easy. First, it's thinking about like, what is the foundation of this agent? What is it going to do? I mentioned a few skills or things that agents can do, actions it can perform, but you're going to start with one agent, of course. And so when you build this agent, think of like drafting a script in a way that lays out exactly what you want it to say to callers. This can be as detailed as you like. It could cover everything from greetings to handling more complex inquiries. But the more precise you are, the better your agent will actually perform in real scenarios. It's just like if you trained a person. This is the advice I always give people. If you hired a person to join your team and you said like, here's one piece of paper, this is you're getting started, this is everything you need to go for it. And then they get one caller who's kind of asking something off the rails. If you expected that person you just hired, that employee, to know all of the answers and answer perfectly, well, you'd be wrong. Like you should train that person for a bit longer. Problem is, of course, I have to train, hundreds of people, or that person quits, I have to do it again. But you will have to spend some time training your agent if you really want to critique the way that it speaks over the phone. And you can do that very easily. And I'll show you how. But you have to give it the information first and not just assume that it'll know everything about your business. So that's then when we get into the kind of step 2 and 3. So when you personalize your agent, you can choose the voice, the tone, the language, of course, that it's speaking, how assertive it is, how funny it is. And then when you train your agent, you're actually interacting with it, talking with it, chatting with it, and saying, don't say that, say this instead of that. And it's not going to be perfect at first because that's how AI is. But the more you do this, the more you kind of throw it curveballs, the better it will be at handling those curveballs when an actual customer calls in. Then lastly, the best part is when you deploy the agent, you can, of course, get a phone number on the Thoughtly platform and let people just start calling it. You can port your existing phone number over to us, or you can forward your existing number if you're using like a Google Voice or even your carrier like Verizon. You can just forward that number to Thoughtly, which would then interact with your customers and then potentially forward it back to you if they wanted to get that transfer after the receptionist answers the phone call. If you're doing outbound, then outbound calls are just as easy. You would select a phone number that you want to call with, and then you would create a batch job. So this is where you upload all your leads, you connect to your Salesforce, select which types of customers you want to call, click go, and then every second a new customer will be called, eventually, of course, getting through thousands of leads if that's how many you want to call. So with that said, I'm actually going to show you now how to build an agent, and we'll do it together. It's very easy. So while I'm actually transitioning my screen share, I'll tell you that the best part about Thoughtly is it's free, which sounds crazy because I'm here pitching you on it, but it is free. So the kind of fun part is when you're building your agent here is you can see on my screen, this is totally free to get started on. After you've built and trained your agent and you love it and you're like, this agent can handle my phone calls really, really well, then it only costs 10 cents per minute. And that kind of equates, of course, to roughly $6 an hour. But you think about it, you never ever have to have this agent go to the bathroom or like look up anything in the CRM. It's always on call and always available. So this is a scratch template that we're looking at here. So let's say I'm going to start with this agent saying, thank you for calling Thoughtly Cleaning Services. This is Tessa. Who am I speaking with? I like to start out every call like this because when somebody calls in, sometimes people will just put in like, this is Thoughtly Cleaning Services and expect that the AI is going to kind of sound good. But when I call into that company, it's going to be a weird experience. When somebody calls my agent here, I want to tell them my name, which is Tessa, so it sounds more personal. And then, of course, ask what their name is. So now we'll go to the next node. Each of these blocks, we can kind of think that this is like Legos. We're stacking them on top of each other. We go to the next node and we'll say, it's great to meet you. Now, Tessa, my agent that's answering for my company, knows the caller's name and can refer to it. So I can actually say, it's great to meet you. And then I can say node 1 answer. Now it's going to say, it's great to meet you, Torrey, when I talk to this agent over the phone. Are you interested in, and we're going to provide 3 options for this example. Are you interested in booking an appointment, changing an appointment, or speaking with a member of our staff? So those 3 options I just provided, I can now put in here as outcomes. So I'll say one outcome is, of course, booking an appointment. Another outcome is changing an appointment, and speak with staff is a third one. So these 3 options I just put in here, these are not read to the customer over the phone. Rather, these are something that you're instructing the AI language model to sort of think about. So if the person responds and says, oh, I want to change an appointment, changing an appointment makes the most sense to the language model. And so it will follow this path to the next node. So what we'll do next is we will create a new node here. And this one is going to be for booking an appointment. So we'll say, great, let's get you booked. What time are you free, or are you interested in having your, we'll say this is not commercial, this is residential, having your house cleaned? The customer will answer. And then what we'll actually do is we'll put in here what we call a Calendly node. And I can put that in here through tools, click add tool, select Calendly, and whichever type of scheduler you're using, we likely integrate with it. And so you would imagine that this is what we're throwing in here. But I'm going to put in mine. And this is, of course, on Calendly. Now that I've done that, I can select Calendly. And now when the agent gets to this node, it will work with the customer, the caller, to actually schedule the appointment. Look at my available times on my calendar. The customer can say, no, that date doesn't work. This date works. It'll go back and forth until a time is decided upon. Then we will finish with, great, you're all set. Anything else I can help with? Let's then assume that there's nothing else that the caller needs help with. We'll go ahead and hang up on them nicely by saying, awesome. Hope you have a great day. Now, this flow is complete. You can now schedule an appointment with my AI agent over the phone. If I wanted to do a rescheduling of an appointment, it would be the same thing. I would just go ahead and create a new tree like that. But let's say you want to schedule or change something with billing, something more complex. I want to speak with somebody from the team. I'm going to create a transfer node here. And a transfer node, actually, we're going to use an action node instead, because that's a beta feature. Let's see, transfer. There we go. Phone router. Yep, this is correct. We have some new nodes coming out soon, so very excited about that release. But on the transfer node, I'm going to transfer the customer, the caller, over to the billing department, for example. Okay, and I'll just put a number here, 800-588-2300. That's the one I always think of. It's from the Empire Today carpet commercials that I saw growing up. But that will then transfer the call over to, well, Empire Carpets in this in this example. So now if I actually want to see what this sounds like, I can click train here. This is the fun part. I'm going to speak with the agent in real time and actually book one of these appointments. So thank you for calling Thoughtly Cleaning Services. This is Tessa. Who am I speaking with? This is Torrey. I'm on training mode. And so I'm not actually talking with my voice to the AI agent. I can do that over the phone. But what it would sound like is this, if you can hear this audio. Not sure if you heard that, but that was Tessa calling or speaking over the phone to me. That's what it would sound like. Then, of course, the conversation continues, and it's great to meet you. Are you interested in booking an appointment, changing an appointment, or speaking with a member of our staff? I will then say, speak with staff. And what she'll say is, okay, transferring you to the billing department now. And you can see the line was transferred right there. And over the phone, the actual call would be transferred. Now, if I said, for example, I want to book an appointment, she will say, great, let's get you booked. What time are you interested in having your house cleaned? Tuesday? Let's see if Tuesday works. Do you have a specific time in mind? I have a slot available at 11:30 a.m. That works. Great, you're all set for Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Anything else I can help you with? Okay, now this is where the fun generative AI part comes in. I have a billing question. Can you transfer me to someone? You'll notice that I didn't actually connect these nodes, so this isn't like a very rigid conversation. This is more free-flowing and dynamic. So if I say this, she knows how to do it. She already is equipped, my agent, to understand exactly what my request is and then execute the request, which in this case is transferring to the billing department, which is Empire Carpets. Now, if I were to, yeah.
Really quick, we weren't able to hear it.
Oh, you weren't able to hear the audio?
No.
Torrey, if you go to your more settings in your Zoom control panel, there should be just a little toggle that you can switch on to share sound. Let me know if you see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Here we go.
And so let's try
Okay.
again.
Thank you for calling Thoughtly Cleaning Services. This is Tessa. Who am I speaking with?
Yep. Heard it just fine. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. So that's what she would sound like over the phone. I can actually do a demonstration of this very basic agent on my phone right now. And so she's going to call me, and I'm going to make sure I turn off Do Not Disturb. I forgot I turned that on before the webinar, but now I just ignored her call. So let me call myself one more time here. She left me a voicemail though, so that's good news. There we go. Here she is. Hello.
Thank you for calling Thoughtly Cleaning Services. This is Tessa. Who am I speaking with?
Hey Tessa, this is Torrey. I'd like to book an appointment, please. Can you guys do next Thursday? No, that works perfectly. I like 11:30 a.m.
Great, you're all set for Thursday.
Can you transfer me to your billing department? I have a few questions for your team. I told you it was Empire Today. I don't know if anyone's seen those commercials, but that's who I just transferred to. So that is a very, very basic example of how to build an agent. It's, again, very easy. But one last thing that I'll mention here is we call this at Thoughtly, we call this the happy path. And so the happy path is sort of like, if you would imagine every caller were to do what I just did, which is the perfect scenario, they would follow the happy path. Now, sometimes they won't. And so they'll say something like, what's your address? Well, that's a great question. And so you should anticipate that people will ask that question. And the way that you do that is through our Genius database. This is something that Thoughtly provides. It's free of charge on the platform, and it's super cool. It's just a database where you can upload as much information as you want. And so you can head over here. I'm not going to show it for this demonstration, but to the Genius tab on the platform, and you'll just upload all the information you want about the company. You can connect your website, connect your Google Maps listing, really anything that's relevant to your business. And then when I ask that question over the phone, the agent will always know the answer because it's pulling from that data set. Think about it again from the perspective of you just hired somebody. How would they know the answer to a question unless you were to provide it to them? That's how you provide that information to an AI agent on Thoughtly. So
Hey, Torrey, really quick,
that's yeah.
they had some trouble hearing Tessa's side of the conversation when it was on speaker. So if you want to do it through the computer really quick.
Yeah, here, I can actually play the recording.
Perfect. Thank you.
Definitely. Okay, so this is the call. Let me make sure I have that audio on again. Yep, okay. So I'll play this and I'll follow the transcript down this screen here.
Thank you for calling Thoughtly Cleaning Services. This is Tessa. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Tessa, this is Torrey.
It's great to meet you, Torrey. Are you interested in booking an appointment, changing an appointment, or speaking with a member of our staff?
I'd like to book an appointment, please.
Great, let's get you booked. What time are you interested in having your house cleaned?
Can you guys do next Thursday?
Next Thursday is October 1st. We have an opening at 11:30 a.m. Would that work for you, or do you prefer a different time?
No, that works perfectly. I like 11:30 a.m.
Great, you're all set for Thursday, October 1st at 11:30 a.m. Anything else I can help with?
Can you transfer me to your billing department? I have a few questions for your team.
Okay, transferring you to the billing department now.
And then
Thank you
upon
for
a
calling
transfer, you won't actually hear the transfer after that for privacy reasons. But of course, on my phone, I don't know if you heard that part, but I was transferred to the other line. So I'm going to bring it back to the presentation here. But let's see, where is it? A few more things that I want to showcase. Next is our Agent Accelerator program. This is something that we offer to specific businesses that are really interested in kind of not wanting to do anything in terms of building an AI agent. Essentially, what we do is we work with the team that most of which sits behind me here in this office, actually. We will build the agent for you, connected to all of your tools. And if you require a custom integration or a custom language or anything like that, you even want to clone your voice, we'll do all of that for you. All you have to do is really join a meeting once a month for the month that we're building the agent, provide the information that you want us to put into the agent, and we'll take care of everything else for you. Lauren is actually the person to talk to about that. So she'd obviously be more than happy to chat about it if you're interested. Then there's this case study that I referenced earlier. This one is with a company called Infinite Scale AI. So Logan, he's the founder there of the company. He's a leading consultant in the space. He runs this company that is known very much for its AI implementation and coaching programs. So they focus on delivering high quality agents to their customers. And Logan was seeking a solution that would provide a user-friendly interface and flexibility for more of those complex integrations. Logan opted for the Thoughtly Agent Accelerator program, which provided a great head start by building the initial agent out for him. Not only did this expedite his learning process, but it was also very straightforward, the entire process, and he was very keen to get started within that 30-day period. We actually shrunk it to 2 weeks. So Logan was so successful, he used Thoughtly to enhance his inbound sales line, and he's exploring new use cases, including sending demo videos via text and email. Text is a capability that all AI Thoughtly agents have. The streamlined integration and enhanced functionality, this allowed him to focus more on delivering value to his clients and less on technical hurdles. His quote that he read to us, he said, "Thoughtly has made a huge difference in how we manage and deploy AI voice agents. It's a perfect tool for anyone looking to elevate AI solutions to the next level." One more is a company called Stacked Moving. This is a firm that specializes in consulting moving companies across the United States. Jake is the owner of Stack Moving, and he'd been searching for the perfect AI voice agent tool. And he finally found Thoughtly after multiple attempts with other platforms. He was struggling for a while, but once he found us, amazingly enough, he did an outbound campaign, and he had 30 live transfers to his human agents in 1 second, which was too many. So he learned to actually call less people at once. That's the power of Thoughtly. But this really showcased the system's ability to handle high volumes of phone calls with ease. So if you have all of those leads kind of stored up, waiting to book, waiting to, get back on your calendar, you could call all of them. Just don't call all of them at once, because otherwise you could have 30 people on the line with you in a second. But the last thing that Jake did here is he reduced the speed to lead from 1 hour to under a minute. This significantly improved their lead management efficiency. So that's everything I wanted to share today. And I'm really thankful for the time, very appreciative of everybody's attention. And I'd love to just go through some questions and answers if you have any.
Torrey, that was fantastic. A couple of hiccups, but that's what happens on presentations. That voice was real. That was amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, Tessa's a great voice. We love Tessa.
Someone in the chat said there was a pause in her response, a little unnatural. I caught that too, but I know when I talk to people on the phone, they pause to write things down. If they're making appointments, it doesn't go quickly. I just wonder if that is a realistic look at that.
Yeah, that's a great question. The real sweet spot that we found psychologically for someone to respond over the phone is half a second to 1 second. And what we're doing every single day, the engineering team in the other side of the room behind me, what they're doing every single day is bringing us within that sort of perfect golden zone. And unfortunately, there are so many vendors that we're using that during peak times, like right now, this very second, there are so many people on AI phone calls on the Thoughtly platform that it kind of extends that period a little bit. It becomes 1.5 seconds. And so over the next few weeks, we're rolling out brand new agents that will actually be capable of staying 500 to 600. We can't go below that though, because it actually gets super weird and uncomfortable when the person that you're on the phone with responds with the snap of a finger. You know what I mean?
Like I'm doing right now, a little bit of a pause is kind of natural.
Exactly.
So I get
exactly.
that. I get that. Yeah, I think when it comes to AI, we might be looking for that human aspect. I think it sounded great. And it's getting better every day. That's what I'm seeing, because I've engaged with AI agents with other businesses, one being a car dealership. And over the years, I've noticed it's getting better. So that's good.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. I mean, think about years ago, you would call and it would be press 1 and press 2. Then it was say front desk, say this, say billing. And now it's just talk like a normal person, which I think is the last kind of evolution.
Exactly. So Torrey, I don't know if you can see the chat, but Marcy has a question about, can Tessa be able to take an order? Would she be able to take an order? Not sure how that would work. I think you covered that in your presentation a bit. You want to highlight that again?
Yeah, certainly. So it depends on the kind of order and like what system the order is actually being connected to. So for example, if you use Salesforce, for example, let's say you have a bunch of questions that you need to ask to fill out an order form. You would ask those questions in order, just like we saw on that node tree, the sort of tree that I was showing. Ask each of those questions, then put in the Salesforce node or whatever integration it is where those orders would be sent. And then fill out each of those fields with the answers to those questions. Once that's that agent reaches that point in the conversation, it's sent, submitted, and you have the order on your side.
And another follow to that would be, they're asking about taking by phone, email information, phone, probably payment like credit card, all that works.
Yeah, so everything you can do, except payment is something that we're working on because there's just so much compliance around it. So what we recommend is if you currently have human agents that are taking payments over the phone, what we would do is we would ask every single question that would lead up to that first, and then create a ticket in some sort of system like a Zendesk, transfer the call to the human agent who is ready to take that credit card information and then process it there. The problem is it's a new world, brave new world, and having AI take credit card information over the phone, we're going to be there one day, but it's not quite where we are today.
Yeah, the compliance issues make sense. Other questions we have, let me see here. One is about what's the pricing structure for implementing AI phone agents in a cleaning company? Now, you started off by talking about that, but can you elaborate some more?
Yeah, certainly. So we really bill 10 cents per minute, and it's pretty much straight up as easy as it gets. So typically our customers, it depends on the size of the company, but you could find yourself paying $50 a month. That would be a pretty good spot for like a small business, and every single one of your phone calls will be handled automatically in the cloud. If you want to kind of go up from there, we can, of course, like I mentioned, handle everything for you. But that has a different price tag on it because we're doing the service for you. So it depends really on, like, do you want to lift a finger or do you want to do it all yourself? Are you a techie person? Are you more so in the field and you don't want to get your hands dirty with the tech? That's kind of the decision on your side, and we're happy to help you either way.
Very good. And how about AI agents integrating with so many different systems out there, CRM, booking software? How do you handle all that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we integrate with currently, let me look at our list just to make sure I have it. We integrate with Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, Attio, Go High Level. That's all CRMs for contacts. Then we have Calendly, Acuity, and Cal.com. Those are scheduling platforms. Zendesk for ticketing, Google Sheets and Airtable on the more productivity and data side. You think about that, like I have a pricing menu that's huge and it's enormous. And I want the agent to look in Google Sheets to get the quote for the customer. They could do that. I doubt anyone here is using Shopify, but we have that integration. And then some others like Zapier and Make.com if you wanted to kind of connect everything with your own platform. So that's our current lineup of integrations. If we wanted to go beyond that, we are every single day building more integrations. And so we have a running list of those that we want to add, but also open to building some custom integrations for those who are on that agent accelerator plan.
Okay, perfect. We got a fun question that just came in, and if you can handle this, I might actually use your services, although I don't have a company. It's about spam calls. I get them all the time. When they come in on an AI phone system, phone agent, what happens?
It's a great question. We are, and if you're a spammer watching, then sorry, we're not for you. We are very much vehemently against spam. We are actually the only platform that provides AI calling that actually requires you to go through what we call KYB, which is sort of like business compliance, providing us with your business information, making sure you're a legitimate business owner before we allow you to start calling people, making outbound calls. So if you've received a spam AI call, it's not from Thoughtly, I can tell you that. But if you've called a major business and you've heard really great sounding AI on the line, that is Thoughtly.
Okay. Turn it around. If I'm a cleaning company and I receive a spam call from the many that come out from wherever they are, what happens with my AI agent?
So if a spam call calls your AI agent.
Right.
Yeah. So this is an interesting use case. Funny enough, my dad is actually using Thoughtly he built his own receptionist. He's supporting his son. It's not a business use case, but he set it up because he got so many spam calls just to answer the phone for him. And kind of only transfer calls that actually needed him. So the good thing here is if an AI spam call comes into your Thoughtly, or any spam call comes into your business phone line and it hits Thoughtly, your agent, in our case Tessa, could immediately triage, throw it away, hang up on them if necessary, and she will not transfer the call unless the agent or the spammer on the other line is specifically asking to be transferred. In that case, you can add a bunch of qualifying questions first to make sure that they are actually eligible for a transfer. That way they don't waste your time.
I know a lot of spam calls I get, you answer the phone and you have this long silence and a beep. So it's a giveaway. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to be careful with those. There's a whole different, not our AI, but some people are doing these voice clone things, when you get those calls. I saw that on the news.
Yeah, I heard that. Let's talk about this question we received. What's the typical timeline for getting an AI agent set up and running from start to finish to going live?
Yeah. So on the Thoughtly platform, if you do it yourself, it depends on how, of course, advanced you want your agent to be. But typically the time it takes for somebody to build an agent is 17 minutes. That's how long it takes for you to click create agent, build an agent out, set things up, make it respond in the way that you want it to, and then say, hey, this sounds pretty good, and then connect it to your phone system. Now, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty and answer every single question and make sure that every single route is kind of connected in every branch, then it could take you up to an hour. But if you don't want to spend any time on it, then of course that's where our agent accelerator comes from, and we will do all of this for you, adding all the information that's required and ensuring that every call is up to your standard.
Perfect. Another question, it touches on customization. You showed us Tessa was her name, how you could do that. But the question is, how much is available in terms of scripting and response options for specific customer needs? You covered several of those, but anything else you might add to that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, there's customization in terms of voices and language. So I chose Tessa, but we have different dialects, different accents, languages. So we have Portuguese voices in there, French Canadian voices, French voices. If you need a voice from a different region, we can add. It's very easy. We essentially are trying to cover all of our bases there. Then, of course, there's humor, assertiveness. You can kind of give your agent personality. And at the end of the day, it'll sound just like you want it to over the phone.
All right, Torrey. What about complex requests? Someone is calling, they want detailed pricing information, or they want to set up recurring appointments, things that are just deeper.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it depends, of course, again, like on how you build this agent out. So if you were to spend the 17 minutes building the agent, it will be able to handle your happy path and plus a few other sort of scenarios. But if somebody has a really weird request, this is what we in the customer service world generally, you have different tiers of requests. So I'm sure you've called like your cable company before, and they have tier 1, which is like the first person you speak to. And if they can't help you, they'll say, I'll escalate this for you. Then they go to tier 2. The same concept is here, where you can have your agent handle everything on tier 1. If your agent, he or she, can't handle everything, then that's where that tier 2 would come in. So tier 2 could be another Thoughtly agent. You could actually just transfer to another Thoughtly agent, which is pretty cool. Or that could be, and typically it is you would be the person that would handle anything that's more advanced. Now, in a larger business, you might already have human agents set up, and they would be the ones who would be handling that tier 2. So if you think of like your business sort of as the call center for like a Verizon, you have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. All of these are people somewhere in the world. Well, tier 1 is just Thoughtly. We'll handle all of that for you. That manages about 80% of all problems.
Yeah, as you talk about this, Torrey, I just remember the days when I had my own company, the answering machines, this is really cool to think about this interaction that's available now.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about maintenance and support. So we have a question about that. Once the AI agent is live and it's working for your company, you're taking appointments, it's working. What do you need to keep it going?
So the beauty of how Thoughtly works is really nothing. So after you build your agent, you'll get an email every time a call is completed, and you'll see right in your inbox everything that you need to know. A summary of the conversation, who it was. And so if you see in the summary, Jeff called, wanted to book an appointment, but he's not sure if he wants to yet and wants a call back. Here's his phone number. I can just be, in my car, and I can just click right there on my email. I'll call Jeff back personally. Obviously, that's for more low volume use case. Higher volume, you can connect it into something else to give that person a call back. And then it just kind of runs on autopilot. So our automations are a feature that we're having released in the next few weeks. This is similar to platforms like Zapier and Make.com, if you've heard of those, but this is where you can kind of connect one thing to another. So like, let's say, for example, I connect my website. I have a form on there. They fill out the form. It goes into my HubSpot. Well, using automations, you can actually have that person called instantly after they filled out that information on the website. Maintenance and support then is 0. You don't have to do anything but just watch this whole system run and just get the report at the end of the day when it's done.
That sounds good. Let's talk about how AI agents, phone agents perform during high volume call periods, after hour calls. Can you train it to sound sleepy at 2 a.m, that kind of stuff?
Now, I don't know if I would want my agent to sound sleepy at 2 a.m., but that does sound fun. So you can definitely, so after hours calls are super, super common for us. Mm-hmm. It's a case-by-case basis, which we answer in our documentation in our help center, but how you would specifically forward calls at a specific time of day depends on the platform that you're using on the front end. So for example, if you're using just simple Verizon to take your phone calls on your iPhone, then forwarding at a certain time of day, it's a bit more challenging because you just have to do call forwarding on and off. If you have a more advanced platform, which there are so many that I won't even name any, then it depends on the software that you're using there. A lot of people actually use Google Voice. There are certain settings where you can change it so it will just forward after hours, or if it hits voicemail, to your Thoughtly agent after hitting voicemail. So after hours agents, very common use case. Again, for, you think about it, $30 a month, and you have somebody answer every unanswered call. Even for a small business where I want to answer the calls that I get on my phone. Well, if I don't pick up, it's great to know that there is somebody else that's going to pick up at the end of the day just for $30 a month.
Yeah, it's a great price for sure. So you talked about this, Torrey. You talked about specific services a company might offer, but what about abnormal services? Or maybe they call and ask about one that you might offer, but it's not part of maybe the system. And you have a customer base as well that you want to integrate into that. How does that all work?
That's a great question. So, yeah, to be specific, you're saying if there was a scenario where we're not doing like lead appointment scheduling or lead follow-up, this is maybe a different use case.
Yeah, let's say I call a cleaning company and I want to have my front deck power washed, but that's not something they normally do, but they could do it. Is there what would your AI agent do with that?
Great question. So what I would recommend to somebody building a Thoughtly agent out that had this kind of situation is you can create different Calendly nodes. Again, we're using Calendly as the calendar example, but whatever calendar you use. You then have your agent ask, do you want your front deck clean? Do you want your back deck clean? Do you want your office clean? Whatever the question is. And then each one feeds into a different calendar connection. Let's say you don't have that set up and the person asks for something that's a bit, maybe unrelated or tangential or not something you're currently offering or more obscure. Well, you can always just have them schedule the appointment on the main event. And then they, depends on kind of what you want to do there, or transfer to a human to kind of understand more of those needs. This is actually the most common, where if I'm speaking to a Thoughtly agent over the phone and it doesn't really understand what I'm trying to get at, it's not instructed, you haven't trained it to do that, then it'll say, hey, like I can just transfer you to a person if you want. It's just imagine it's a person that works for you, and they're like intimidated over the phone. Like, I don't know, this person's getting upset, trying to figure out how to book this thing that I don't know how to do. They'll just say, look, I'll just transfer the call for you. And then they'd speak to you about that.
That's perfect, because if you're talking to someone and they don't know the answer, you can sniff out when they're trying to make something up. It's better to say, let me find out. Let me transfer you to someone who knows. That's what I would want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of this question too, Torrey, was about the customer database. So if Mrs. Jones from Elm Street calls in, how does that work with the AI agent recognizing that? Does she then say, oh, are you still on Elm Street, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, it's a great question. So each agent has what we call memory. And this is just kind of remembering other conversations it's had with a customer. So Miss Jones, great to hear from you again. You can have your agent do that, which is super cool. Even if it's 5 years later. Miss Jones, it's been a while. How do you remember me? Well, you called and you booked an appointment 5 years ago. A human couldn't do that. I mean, I couldn't do that. Some people are better with names than I am. But that is something that Thoughtly is capable of doing. The way that you do that is through our contacts system. And so when you upload contacts, you can either sync it with your existing CRM like a Salesforce or HubSpot. You start fresh, you can upload from a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet. And every time a customer calls, that customer information is added to the contacts screen, and you can see it all there on the Thoughtly dashboard.
Very nice. We're about out of questions. Here's the one more. Measuring ROI, return on investment of doing this, implementing AI agents in a cleaning company. How do you do that?
Yeah. So one example that I like to give that I've been giving a lot recently is it makes sense if you're really going to do this from a numbers perspective to figure out, what do I want to get out of this? So one of our customers recently, these are a large public company, actually. They said, look, we're going to sign up with you and we just want to have 2 sales. And that was it. Then they'll be happy. Well, not only did they get 2 sales, but they've got thousands of sales at the same percentage point. So they were exceptionally happy with that ROI. And so for a cleaning company, for example, or for somebody watching this, I would say, what do I want? What do I want to have happen here? If the answer is I want to not take calls anymore, but I want to see my calendar fill up with appointments, then let's set a number. Let's say like 7 next week. If I personally book 7 this week, AI should be able to book 7 next week. Let's see if it can happen. Sign up, build the agent, forward my phone calls over. Thoughtly starts to answer those phone calls for you, and you can see those calendar invites going in and adding to your to your to-do list. You get those 7 in there in your ROI, you're clearly in the green here. Now, obviously, getting into the numbers of $30 a month, right? That's how much we charge. Our basic plan, it of course, depends on how much you value each of those appointments. But that's, of course, up to each individual business.
Very good, Torrey. Appreciate that. We're out of questions from everybody. So I do want to say, Torrey, thank your team behind you for not making too much noise and jumping around too much, because you're in a real office there with a real team making all this happen in the background.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll let them know after. They did a great job. They were my guests with me.
Absolutely. But Torrey, why don't we conclude with this? Anything you'd like to add to close with, or how to reach you, or how to learn more? Share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're like a tech company, but we're nothing special. We just started. I went to school in Columbus, right next to Jeff. Probably we're walking along with each other on the street or at dinner sometime. Like, this is not a big, we're not a big company. So if you have any questions for me, please email me, Torrey@thought.ly. Add me on LinkedIn. I don't really use much else on social media, but I'm always happy to answer any question, chat with you, talk to you, hop on a call with you. Really anything that's needed. Our whole team is. So please reach out if you have anything that you need at all.
And if Torrey doesn't answer, maybe Tessa will.
That's right. I've been in AI the whole time.
Are you real? Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah. This is not real.
The world
one
is
day
coming.
that will happen.
That world's coming. Yeah, one day.
Yeah.
Well, Torrey, thank you for this webinar. All of us here today appreciate it. And may those who are watching use your company and answer the phone.
That's right. I love that. Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate the time.